Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Retro Gaming on the Atari ST. Today's game is Space Harrier. Space Harrier was developed by Sega Enterprises in 1985 and was originally conceived as a military-themed game played in the third-person perspective. It featured a player with a controlled fighter jet. Technical and memory restrictions at the time, though, resulted in Sega developer redesigning it to fit a fantasy setting in the fantasy zone, centered around a jet-propelled human character. Critically praised, however, for its innovative graphics and gameplay and its motion on some arcade cabinets, it was a mainstay in many arcades, especially in the UK. This being the Atari version, it's interesting to note that Space Harrier has been ported to over 20 different home computer and gaming platforms, either by Sega or outside developers. 2 home system sequels followed, Space Harrier 3D in 1988, based on the remake of the original game, and also there was Planet Harriers, a polygon remake of the original game released by Sega for the PlayStation 2 as part of their Sega Ages series, and that was out in 2003. Space Harrier is a fast-paced rail shooter game played in a third-person perspective behind this main protagonist who wields a rocket, shooting device of death. The landscapes are adorned with checkerboard-style grounds and stationary objects such as trees, bushes, stone pillars, and you're also hampered by aliens coming at you in set sequences. At the start of gameplay, players are greeted with the voice sampling speaking, "Welcome to the Fantasy Zone, get ready." In addition to this, you get the "You're doing great" with a successful completion of a stage. I don't get to hear that much when I'm playing, to be perfectly honest. There are 18 distinct stages of the game, while utilising an underarm jet-propelled laser cannon that will enable you to fly and shoot. The object is simply to destroy all enemies who range from prehistoric animals, Chinese dragons to flying robots, airborne geometric objects and alien pods, all of which whilst remaining in constant motion to avoid dodging the projectiles they shoot at you and the immovable ground objects. 15 of the game's 18 stages contain a boss at the end that must be killed in order to progress to the next level, while the 18th and final stage is a rush of 7 past bosses encountered up to that point that will appear individually and identified by name at the bottom of the screen. The other 2 levels, the 5th and the 12th, are bonus stages in which Harrier boards a massive white cat-like dragon named Uria, who is invincible and manoeuvres with the joystick to smash through the landscape obstacles and collect those bonus points. After all lives are lost, players have the option of continuing gameplay with the insert of an extra coin, or in the Atari, you press the fire button. As Space Harrier has no storyline after the completion of all stages, only the end is displayed before the game returns to the title screen and the attract mode, regardless of how many lives the player has remaining. And that's true because a friend of mine can complete this on 1 life in the arcade, if you can get one in an arcade, and it is a bit of a swizz. Generally, this is a very hard game, and as I mentioned, you're constantly moving left to right, up and down to avoid all the obstacles that are put in your path. Impact with any of these obstacles will result in you losing a life. Not to mention, you get the aliens here who come in a set waveform who will try and destroy you either by shooting projectiles at you or ramming you. I've actually amazed myself by getting so far to the 2nd stage. To be fair, I was never really this good either, and with that I've crashed, either on the arcade or really at this game, but the continuous 3 replays that you get does allow you to progress that a little bit further. Space Harrier was one of the earliest third-person shooters. The game was first conceived by a Sega designer named Ida, who wrote a 100-page document proposing the idea of a 3-dimensional shooter that contained the word Harrier in the title. The game would feature a player-controlled fighter, as I mentioned at the beginning, that shot missiles. This was re-realized by Sega, and then a human protagonist was put on. Drawing a human was much easier, it was stated, and not necessary to make him fully realistic and doesn't require much free space. Memory was at a premium. The designer drew his inspiration from films of the era such as the 1982 anime series Space Cobra and the 1984 film The Neverending Story. There were two different arcade cabinets produced. There was a sit-down version with a fixed seat, and then the hydraulic system. Later on then, an upright cabinet was released as well for more space-saving arcade placement. The designer was so sure that his game would succeed and the design of the cabinets would draw people in, he offered his entire salary as compensation if the game failed. But fortunately for him, and good for us, it became a major hit in all arcades over the world. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing Space Harrier, and I think I'll keep it to hand and try and progress past the levels that I've got to on this run through, which I think I've done particularly well on this run through. And the process of moving around in circles to avoid impact from the pillars and the aliens and their projectiles is, I believe, a good method, although there are far more people better skilled at this game than I am who have probably got a better way of playing it. This end of level boss is a two-headed dragon. If I can remember rightly, you shoot this two-headed dragon directly in the face and one half of it goes, leaving the remaining half to deal with. It is quite tricky, however, but if you line it up and get your angle right, you can destroy this boss with a limited amount of hassle. So, in regards to this, I've been Ricardo, and this has been Space Harrier on the Atari ST. A fantastic game, and was produced in the UK by Elite Software. As I've mentioned, I've thoroughly enjoyed playing it, and I think it's one of my favourite all-time games, not only in the arcades, but also on the Atari ST, and I think a really good port over from the arcade. Look out for some more videos, and see you soon.